How's everybody doing today? Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Penn. I'm 19 years old, and I am the CEO of my own eco-friendly clothing company. I'm also an animator, a filmmaker, a writer, an author, and an activist. And I'm so excited to be speaking to you all today about my journey and how I started. So I started my company, Maya's Ideas, in 2008. I was only 8 years old when I started, and my business really came from a mix of three things. My curiosity, I really just wanted to know how that would work, starting a business. My love for the environment, I'm really passionate about that, and I always want to make a difference for our planet in some way. And my love of art and design in all its forms, including fashion design. So I combined those three things, and boom, Maya's Ideas was born. And I knew that when I started my business, I was serious about it. I went to my parents at 8 years old, and they knew that I was serious. This wasn't going to be one of my pretend restaurants that I had in my bedroom selling plastic pizzas to my stuffed animals, or like my former restaurant that I started as a toddler, which was operated from my high chair, where the special of the day was snake soup, a carefully crafted blend of water, ketchup, dried beans, and my plastic snake toy. It was pretend culinary goodness, but no, this was going to be a real business, and it was going to be awesome. Here are some of my first designs. There's me at 8, and here are some of my designs. I started out, much like Jess, actually, making headbands. And I would just use really whatever I had around the house. I did not have a lot to start with. I just used old clothes or fabric pieces and materials and whatever that we could get. Even though I didn't have a lot to start with, I had a vision and I was going to make it work. This is one of my early designs, and I called it Zebrafly, obviously, because of the butterfly and the zebra print. And I was thinking to myself after I made it, is this too crazy? Will people actually like this design? And it ended up being one of my first sales ever. So remember to take risks and try everything, even with crazy fashion designs. Here's some of my items now. And as you can see, I've evolved a lot. And as I started continuing, I started learning how to make new items like hats and scarves and bags and even tops and jewelry. And I also knew when I started my business that I wanted to give 10% of my profits to local and global charities and environmental and girls' and women's rights organizations, because I know how important giving back is. And so as I continued to evolve, I was super hands-on in all aspects of my business. Basically everything you could think of. Not only did I create the products, I made my own logo, I was customer service, I researched branding and marketing, and by the way, customer service was fun. Like, you pick up the phone, there's like an 8-year-old on the other end, and like, they were like, oh, can we talk to your parents? We wanted to ask you about this product was in stock. I'm like, I'm the CEO, I can help you, I'm right here. That was always funny. And I've also got into coding, and I taught myself HTML when I was 10 to build my own official website. There was literally no hat I would not wear, and I mean that metaphorically and literally, because I was also sometimes my own product model. As I continued to grow and I started selling my items online, my items started selling all over the world, to Italy and Denmark and Australia and Japan, and it was crazy. And then Forbes magazine reached out to me when I was 10 years old, and they wanted to feature me and my business in their magazine. Now, just to say, when I started, this was at a time where kidpreneur and teenpreneur, if y'all heard those kind of terms that they use now, those words didn't exist, okay? So I was basically an anomaly. You know, an anomaly is something that's different, that's not part of the norm, or that's unique. So basically, I was weird. You know, I was just really weird. You know, you would go to a business conference and you would see this 8-year-old girl that basically just did one of these things does not look like the other. But that still didn't stop my success and my growth. as I continued, I started getting, oh, I forgot I had that slide. Well, enjoy me painting a scarf. I started getting featured in TV shows, magazines, and then I started meeting people that I admire and that I look up to, like Zendaya, Bridget Mendler, Simone Biles, Gabby Douglas, Oprah. You guys already know these people. And I was blown away. I couldn't believe that this one idea that I had at 8 years old started growing and snowballing and turning into all of these different opportunities for me. And it's really amazing. And it shows you how important it is to listen to all of your ideas, big or small. You might have an idea cross your mind, and you might subconsciously just kind of shoo it away like, I don't know if I have the resources for that, or I don't know if anyone would support me, or that's a stupid idea. Why would anybody listen to me, or why should I start this thing? How can I make a difference? Would anybody like it? Don't. Listen to your thoughts. Think about what you're thinking about. What I suggest is to keep an idea journal. And I actually kept an idea journal. Any idea that crossed my mind, I would write it down. It didn't matter if it didn't make any sense now. Even if it was like, what if dinosaurs had dinosaur-sized sunglasses? Like, it didn't matter. I would write it down. And it's crazy how many ideas that you write down now will come back later and be useful. So I gave my TED Women Talk in 2013 when I was only 13 years old, and I was invited to speak after I did 2 TED Youth Talks. Now, the TED Youth Talks were a little bit smaller than the TED Women Talk, and I'm honestly a really introverted person, so it took me a long time to get comfortable with public speaking. Actually, I did my first public speaking engagement when I was only 11 years old, and I have really evolved since then. I'm actually going to be giving you a workshop later today that some of you already taken about doing a TED Talk. We're going to do mini TED Talks. But it's really amazing to see how much that I've evolved from that little 11-year-old girl who's kind of like this, and this is how I would talk about my business, and now it's really kind of helped my confidence personally, so that's why I want to share that with all of you guys. But once my TED Talk went live, I knew that it was going to go live all over the world. It was being live streamed globally. I was so nervous. I was thinking, oh my God, how do I have the bravery or the confidence to do any of this? I didn't know how I was going to pull it off. I'd never spoken in front of an audience this big. And then I started to realize a couple things. One, people feel like if they're nervous, then there's something wrong with them. Like, oh, I'm about to do this important thing. I should be feeling confident. I should be feeling brave. I should be feeling comfortable with it. And if you have never felt nervous about anything important, you are either 1, a liar, 2, a robot, or 3, an alien. Because being a human being means you will feel things. You will have feelings. And the most successful people and the most successful public speakers all get nervous. They all worry if they're gonna do okay. You know, going out and taking on the world and not knowing if you can take on the world, that to me is true confidence. If you really wanna be confident, if you really wanna be brave, do things afraid. You have to kind of be friends with your feelings, and you can't let your feelings drive the car. You know, you gotta be the one driving the car. You gotta put those nerves in the back seat. And even though they might be an annoying passenger, you can still coexist with them and still be awesome and kick butt and be successful. You can still do it. Take it from me. I do lots of public speaking and I still get nervous, but I'm a professional. And it's really important to remember that your voice is important. I know, especially being young, I worry about if my voice really was important, especially to other adults and being a young girl especially. But what I've learned is that everyone's voice matters. And after my TED Talk went live, I started getting tons and tons of views. It has, over millions of views on the TED website and just around the web. But I started getting tons of emails, DMs, comments, messages from all over the world, from kids, teens, and even adults who are inspired. And they were asking me, you really inspired me. I want to start my own business. Do you have any advice? I want to start a fashion line. Or I want to make my own cartoons. I want to get into animation. Do you have any advice for me? Or I want to start a nonprofit. Or I want to give back in some way for the environment. And so that's what led me to write my book, You Got This, and it was published by Simon & Schuster when I was 15 years old when I wrote it. And it's about my journey and how I started and every obstacle that I faced along the way. And it's been so amazing to now see how my book is being used in schools and youth organizations to teach kids entrepreneurship, creative problem solving, giving back, and so much more. I'm also an animator, like you saw in that clip. Animation is actually probably one of my first passions, even before I got into fashion design. I've really been hands-on with every visual art that I can try, and animations was one of the first ones that I really got into, and it's been my first love, so to speak. And I have an animated series called Asali and the Pollinators, and it's about a bee named Asali and her friends who are other cool pollinating animals, and they have to fight against these evil forces that are trying to destroy the forest that they live in. And it's all about teamwork, leadership, no matter how big or small you are, that you can make a difference, and of course, protecting nature and animals. I also have my own nonprofit organization called Maya's Ideas for the Planet, and I started this in 2011, and through my nonprofit, I've been able to help and give back to women and girls in need. I've been able to help women and girls in Haiti, Senegal, Somalia, and Cameroon, and I've also been able to spread more awareness about the environment and how everyone can give back and make a difference. Now, I want to ask you guys a question, because we're going to get on a less fun note. How many of you have dealt with a hater or a bully, whatever you want to call them? Kind of almost everybody, right? So I personally have dealt with those kinds of people as well, and especially kind of being more exposed to a bigger audience has made me an even bigger target for people to come after. I've had people talk about they didn't like how I looked, they didn't think I was smart, they didn't think I was talented, they didn't believe I did any of this, even though this is stuff I've been passionate about pretty much my whole life and worked really hard for. Yeah, I mean, really anything that you can think of, people have said it. People have put me down and tried to stop me in my tracks, and it's hurt, and people tell you, oh, just ignore it. And yeah, you shouldn't give people your time. Absolutely. They're not worth your time, and you should ignore them. But it's still going to hurt a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with being hurt and for it to sting a little bit. But what you have to keep in mind is, think about between me and those bullies. Between me and those bullies, who do you think has a successful fashion line, an animation studio, a book, and opportunities to speak to awesome audiences like you all? Yeah. Not the bully. So that's because I kept going. Even though what people said might get me down, I didn't let it stop me. And I know that you all can do the same. When people try to bring you down, you have to keep going. You have to remember that you are in control of your path and where you want to go. And if I listened to those people who said I wasn't good enough, then I wouldn't be here talking to you all today. And that really makes me sad that I could have done that, or I could have turned back. And that's why it's so important to listen to yourself and to be your own best friend. I call those kind of people that do those mean things joy stealers. Because that's all they want to do. They want to steal your joy. They want to turn you around. They want to make you doubt yourself. They want to make you give up and quit. And that's not their right to do. It's not their right to steal your joy. Your joy is yours and yours alone. And you find your joy in the things that make you happy when you do them, the things you're excited about, the things that you're passionate about and really care about, and the new things that you want to try. They might want to stop you from pursuing and doing all those things, but they can never take your joy if you hold on to it tight and keep moving past, even when things get scary, even when things get tough. They can never steal your joy because it's yours to keep. Now, I want to share with you It's a really awesome quote that I live by every day from a woman named Dr. Mae Jemison. Now, this woman is an astronaut and a NASA engineer, so anything she has to say is probably awesome. Her quote is, "Never limit yourself because of someone else's limited imagination." And just think about that for a second, and think about what that says. Just because someone else can't see your dream, your vision, they can't see how you can do it, they don't see why you're doing it, they don't see why it's important, doesn't mean that you should limit yourself because of how they are limiting you. That's what they think and they perceive, and you can still create your own reality. You can still bring your dreams to life and achieve your goals and pursue your passions and make an impact on the world because you're in control of your path and where you go. And so this is a quote that I wanted to make sure that I shared with all of you because when I heard it, it really changed my perspective on when you have bullies and naysayers and how to kind of just think about those situations. Now, I want to wrap up with a sort of positive affirmation, and I encourage you guys to also do these positive affirmations on your own, even after the summit. Just every day, if you look in the mirror and just say some positive things about yourself, just to start your day, those are so important to do. So important because we have to learn to be our own cheerleaders, our own best friends, because things might get hard and we might feel lonely sometimes, but if you keep moving and keep staying motivated, that's what matters in the end. So I want you guys to repeat after me. I am strong.
I am strong.
I'm smart.
I am smart.
I'm awesome.
I am awesome.
I'm beautiful inside and out.
I am beautiful inside and out.
I can achieve anything I set my mind to.
I can achieve anything I set my mind to.
I will always go for my goals.
I will always go for my goals.
I will lift up and support other girls.
I will lift up and support other girls.
And I know other girls will lift up and support me.
And I know other girls will lift up and support me.
I got this.
I got this.
We got this.
We got this.
Thank you so much.